May I request CA Dinesh Tejwani to start the session?
Thank you, Seema ji. So, a few words about the webinar. When Seema ji asked me to, create this webinar, I actually wanted the members of the JB Nagar Study Circle, a few members of the JB Nagar Study Circle, to be part of this panel discussion. So we had put up a request on our WhatsApp groups, and the question was, are you using any of the practice management software? And if yes, would you like to participate in a panel discussion? Seema ji, how many responses we got? None, right? So anyhow, I think because my two questions were merged into one. One was, are you using a software? And other was, would you like to participate in the panel discussion? So maybe people did not respond. So now here on your screen, you can see this poll. And I really want to know, out of 309 people who are present today, how many are actually using any practice management software. So next 1 minute, we'll just wait for this poll to get over. Please vote. It's simple, yes or no. I would love if 100% response comes. That would be indicative of the direction the discussion has to take place.
Interrupt Mr. Dinesh ji, but actually after your poll, we will have introduction session. Mr. CA Manish Jadia ji will introduce the speakers, and then we will start our session.
No problem. So let this poll be over, and then the introduction can take place.
Sure.
It's 11 and 89. So 11% of the audience is using any practice management software.
Morning to all. Still, it's morning. Good. In wake of new normal with limited mobility, large CA firms are already on their job. With also, as we see the listed companies reports coming out, and they are doing their job very well. However, SME firms should not be left out. So visionaries ICAI have already introduced software from last 2 years, and they have made it free so that people can be used to things. So as I was saying that SME firms should not be left out, and hence ICAI have already introduced a software. We should now understand the implementation challenges for SME segment and how to increase the productivity with a small firm sizes and stuff. So we have on panel today 3 speakers as well as the moderator, CA Mitesh, starting with CA Mitesh Karia. He is a partner in APHMH and Associate LLP. He is a tech savvy, interested in, hence mostly practicing on a forensic audit, digitalization and data analytics. He is on IT committees of various professional bodies like WIRC, CTC, GST, PM, etc. He has also co-authored a book published by CTC recently called Work From Home. Then we have on panel CA Hinal Patel. He possesses sharp analytical skills and vast knowledge in accounting standards, corporate law, FEMA regulations, etc. He is also empaneled as technical reviewer with FRRB board of ICAI. He is a chairman of accounting and auditing committee of CTC, and he has co-authored book published by BCAI on NBFC. Today, we also have with us Rajesh Ramakrishnan, the co-founder of Vitrine Solution. Radhakrishnan. Okay, sorry. Rajesh Radhakrishnan, who is a co-founder and a CMO of Vitrine Solution, the software which we had a demo for. So need not to have a long list of which I have to discuss for time constraint. And the session will be moderated with by our own member CA Dinesh Tejwani, who is tech savvy as well as entrepreneur in itself, having launched around 15 successful ventures and sold 3 of them. He is currently a tech consultant in the field of digital transformation of businesses. He is on IT committee of various professional organizations like CTC and WIRC. With this brief introduction, I give the floor to Dinesh ji for actual understanding on implications of implementation of softwares, practice softwares, the benefits and challenges. Thanks.
Thank you, Manishi. Can I have Hanil, please? I'm not able to see Hanil.
Hanil is there.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Good morning, Girish. Good morning, all.
Yeah, now I can see.
Good morning.
Is Jigar also here? We've also invited Jigar as a special invitee. I mean, his name is not listed, but we'll have a few discussions with him on the challenges of practice management with respect to these small firms. So we'll take him at appropriate time. So yeah, so we just conducted a poll and we realized that the percentage is about 11%, or maybe, you know, some people who, you know, posted on the chat, it could be at the most 15%. So we could see in the presentation given by Amey that this is almost every part of CS practice, you know, which is being automated by a practice management software. It's not just the practice, it is also the CRM and the HR part also. And it can be useful for a CA firm as small as, you know, maybe 5 people and as big as maybe 200 and above. So the first thing what we need to really discuss is why there is such a low penetration of practice management software. And let me ask Rajesh. Rajesh, I think I had given some figures, but I missed it. I was on a call. So maybe if you can just let me know that how many firms have taken up your you know, offer since 2018 when it was launched.
Yeah. So approximately, I think 5,700 plus is what we have got as a response. Okay, but this last 3 months have been interesting. You know, 4 months. I think real growth has started last 4 months, and we know that all the team members of a CA firm are working from home, and this trend was expected. So we were kind of prepared that, you know, there will be a mindset change and mind shift happening towards controlling the team. I mean, I think it's going well. COVID has brought in positivity in terms of making sure that people use systems better.
All right. So now the first question to both our users, you know, the user participants. The first question to Mitesh is, Mitesh, your firm APMH, since how long you have been using any practice management software? And same question then goes to Hanil.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Dinesh ji, Seema ji. The firm is using the practice management tool since last 4.5 years now, and we when we grew from 20 people team to 30-35 people team, that's when we felt there is a challenge in managing the team and allocation of work, and also the billing part of it. So we decided to jump onto a practice management tool. That time it was quite nascent market, and less number of practice management tools were available. But out of whatever was available, we selected one, and we kind of started the process of implementing the same into our firm.
So it has been almost 4.5 years, right?
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
interesting. I mean, you started when you were just 20, because most of the small firms think that they can, you know, manage with Excel sheets, you know, shared Google spreadsheets.
Correct.
Or I've seen some of them using, you know, free tools like Trello or to-do list software, or maybe, you know, project management tools, which does a bit and part of, you know, what is expected in a complete solution.
Correct.
So I think this is a very good insight that even when you are 20 or when you are 10, you know, you can actually start with a practice management software, which helps you in when the firm grows. Yeah, Hanil, what about you?
Good morning, all. And again, thank you once again to all of you. So as far as practice management software is concerned, of course, we've been using a different software. This is our 10th year of use of the practice management software. But the last software which we are using is since last 5 years, the latest one which we are using. And basically, the normal situation, in the normal situation when you deal with the client and the staff, you may not really realize that you need a software. But when you switch over to the software and when you get the various kind of reports or kind of statistics, then you realize that the use of software will make you more efficient, or maybe more in that sense give you a insight of your assignments, insight of your employee skills. At times it will give you a different mindset while dealing with the client for negotiating fees and other thing. So those benefits which we look maybe down the line. I mean, initially we were using a small software which is for managing 20-25 people. Now today we are around 125, 300, 150 people on the audit practice side. So we have switched over to the new software, and then since last 5 years we are using this.
Great. So I think one observation from both you panelists is that you switched software, correct? You were using some software, and then later on you shifted to some other software. So let us discuss this. I mean, because does the software outgrows your operation, or do you think there are challenges in adoption of a software? And whatever solution you adopt, is there a definite timeline for that? Okay, this will be sufficient for me for next 3 years or 4 years, and I may have to look for a different solution. So this will be a good point to discuss here with Mitesh. So what are the challenges of the software which you were using earlier, and then you had to shift to a new software?
We were using this software since 4.5 years, and when we started using, the market was quite nascent, and we had got quite a few choices of softwares to be put in place. So biggest challenge that we were facing with the software that we shifted from was the user friendliness. And I think the implementation calls for a lot of user friendliness in putting up the software in place. So this software didn't update the UI experience, and also the what you call the mobile app was not being made available for a while. So although we had the database model and other things of the software, we decided to move to a software which our users would be more comfortable to use and adopt. So that was the...
Yeah, I think we lost Mitesh.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Maybe Hanil, you can just take it.
So basically, the need for change in the software has came mainly on account of two reasons. I mean, one is of course the new features. I mean, at times changing in time, you need to incorporate the latest features, which will facilitate your business model, as well as we keep it in pace with the latest dynamics which is happening in the market. So one is the new features, and second is the bandwidth. When you have a limited software or a software with a limited number of users, then you may not be able to manage a staff when you reach to a 3-digit or maybe a 4-digit going forward. So, one is the bandwidth, which really has caused a change in the software. Second is the features. Apart from that, as Mitesh has mentioned, GUI, basically graphical user interface, basically. The earlier software had a limited GUI version. So where you have you need to do so many reading before entering the data and all that stuff. In a new software, when we moved, it has a ready-made thing available like a Windows or a platform where things are automatically popped up on your screen, and based on that, one has to input those information in the system. So users basically find it very convenient, or so-called. In such a manner it comes that things will get automatically sequential in the software itself. So they don't know how to think much. So that artificial intelligence also, plays a role here. That sometimes, certain pop-ups which will, create on a particular web page or on a particular channel, that helps the user, thinking ahead. So those features actually has, attracted us towards the new software. I mean, in that sense, and that is how we then, shifted to the new software. Of course, it has challenges that we will discuss in the later part of our discussion, but then this is how it has been, moved from the old version to new version.
Okay. All right. Is Mitesh back?
Yeah, I am back. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So let me continue with what Hanil mentioned right now, the challenges. So a lot of CA friends talk to me, about practice management software. I found two main problems. One is they are not able to decide which software to use. Yeah, because there are plenty of software available. So, and then they see a demo and then they decide that, okay, this is not, either it is too complex or it's not giving me something which I want. Some features are missing. That seems to be one reason why, people keep delaying the decision to go for a practice management software. Then there are people who finally decide, based on recommendation or based on their self-assessment, they take a decision to go for a software. But then there comes another challenge, I've seen then the adoption ratio is very low. Once you have decided on a software, then a lot of people exit because they are not able to implement it. Okay. And there are also challenges of change management. So starting with Mitesh, I would like to know what were the change management problems you faced when you first implemented any practice management software, and how did you overcome them?
So I think the ROI of the software is not with respect to the cost that it carries, but the ROI of the software is the penetration and the implementation it can achieve in any organization. So that is what we always miss, that we work on costs about a particular software, that what is the per user per month cost and so on. But we should work on thought process, that whether we will be able to put all the available features in place and we will be able to take the benefit at the spirit of a software. So I think that is the biggest question that we should ask while putting any software in place. Instead of going with lot of bells and whistles, it is many times important that you go with something very simple and user friendly for people to put in place and start using it on regular intervals, instead of having a lot of facilities in it. So that is one thing that we looked at. And as far as the change management is concerned, the biggest challenge of change management comes at the partner level or at the owner level, change management. And I think the owners are the most rigid people to adopt to anything for that matter, although they like things to be in control, but they don't spend any amount of time or energy to put things in control and perspective. So that is, I think, the biggest challenge that we faced at our end, wherein one of the partners was pushing to get these things implemented and others were kind of not able to come to consensus that, first of all, whether they need it, and second, if they need it, whether they personally would be able to review things on it and use it on regular intervals or not. So I think the change management piece, the leadership level change management is more critical than any other change management. And if it happens, then all other change management is easy. Number two, in our organization, we faced is people started feeling more distrusted when we said that you need to fill up the timesheet and give more data on what tasks you have completed and what tasks are pending on your end and so on. So they felt that we are trying to not trust on them, and we want the paperwork to trust on them. So that was another issue which we faced when the implementation was happening and people wanted to escape the implementation by saying that this software means that you don't trust on me. So that was another issue, and we had to explain them a lot more times that it is not about trust, but it is about being more organized and structured, and it is about more client servicing than about trusting the team members. So it is critical for us as a firm to put this in place, and not it is not critical for you as a team member to worry about the trust level of the firm when this is getting implemented. So I think these were two: leadership challenge and another trust challenge at the junior level, were the two challenges that I feel were from the change management side.
Okay.
Right. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Seemaji, I'm just, so there was a brief power outage, and I missed the, few sentences by Mitesh. But Mitesh, what I understood, but there were two challenges. One was from the partners and the other was from the employees, right? That I could hear the last statement.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. So, yeah, coming to Henil, your experience about it now.
Yeah, so as mentioned by Mitesh, yes, there are challenges in terms of adopting or implementing a software initially when you switch over to either switch over or altogether getting a new software. And but honestly, what we felt that if it is coming from the top, I mean, if the engagement partner or a lead engagement partner is basically taking care of their respective team, then those challenges were not really that in that sense needs attention. What is important is the discipline. Basically, what we felt is the discipline, for our team members to follow for a particular software. Now, see, you would be aware that any software will run based on the data input given by its user. And if the data is not correctly entered in the software or not timely entered in the software, then it may not be able to give you a correct or a result which you desire. Because all software works on a platform which ultimately takes information from the user. And if user is not adhering to a particular discipline or a timeliness, then in that situation, the use of software becomes redundant. So the challenge which comes is basically after implementing the keeping the pace with our staff or timeliness of inputting information. That is the biggest challenge which we face. Another important aspect is basically, many times, the new features comes at a very regular interval. So conveying those new features to the team member at times make it difficult, especially when they all are scattered in different locations, especially in an audit firm. Most of your staff is actually scattered at various clients, because you hardly have a staff in a particular place. And when you have more than one partner who looks after the audit, then even at times two partners are not able to sync with each other many times, because of the mobility issue. Of course, in this COVID scenario, now things have changed because of the virtual and e-meetings and other things. But in those periods, yes, we had a challenges of informing the staff on the latest feature or adapting the new things which has come in the software. Third, challenge which what we faced is the connectivity issue. Because see, earlier the software which we thought of is putting on a local server with a VPN connectivity. Then of course we switched over to the cloud-based server. So there also at times when staff is actually at a different location or at a place where the connectivity is not that accurate or not that secure. In that situation also the updation was actually getting delayed. So those challenges which we faced when we implemented, and today also we have those challenges, but we are trying to see that how best things can be set right. And many times, what was happening is when there are no connectivity issues, and people used to come to the office and then sync their laptop with the server to get it updated in the software. So those challenges were really in that sense for that. Management, if you see from the top, many times the core team for many firms like us have a core team and a engagement team, and subsequently the team management. So the core team, those who are not really understanding the technical developments, or maybe because of the age and other generation gap, they may not be really understand the use of this. At times, is reluctant on the cost aspect. Then I mean they will think of why we need to spend so much when things are already moving for so many years in a different direction, or in a particular direction. And why you need all this software is especially for practice management. We are discussing two software: practice management and audit management. Audit management things are different, but for practice management they feel that employee cost, everything is getting settled. We have inbuilt MIS system, or we do have inbuilt weekly report system. Then why do we need a practice management system? So then there the challenges come in terms of making them understand the additional use of the software, or the use of software from anywhere. So those challenges were faced when we are when we cater to the new requirement, or we are actually spending money for new features and other things. So those are the challenges which we think from the management point of view.
Right. Thanks, Andy. So let me go to Rajesh now. Rajesh, you said you have 5,700 users or firms. I don't know. So 5,700, let's say. Firms. So the number of users would be much higher. Right? Yeah, fine. So out of 5,700, if you can just tell me what is the number of active users, somebody who is actually logging in every day and, doing stuff. Do you have any such statistics?
Yeah. It would be as low as 20 to 30%. I mean, but this again is changing. I mean, continuously improving. Till October, November, when we were monitoring, I mean, it was about 30% of the people were active. They were actually pushing us. I mean, some set of customers have really got the best out of this, and they have been following up. All these are remotely managed. Our whole model has been structured in such a way that everything is centralized. We have gone into a model of instructor-led training, webinars, and continuous planning. I mean, where CA firms would like us to interact, get continuous knowledge, and the team coming in and changing at CA, and it involves continuous training. So I mean, so what has happened is, as rightly pointed out by Mr. Mitesh and Hanil, that I mean, it's all about getting a hang of the product. Using it, I mean, it should be simple. I mean, if there is a mindset change required, you need to continuously pump in, information which is relevant to them, and people can go and imbibe information. Today's world, classroom trainings are no more there. People have to go there and imbibe information. And I mean, and if we can drive this whole approach, and this increase will happen. 30% is what is there, as rightly pointed out by many. The challenges are there. I think. In the near future, it should improve. I mean, I see the direction is positive. I can see Mr. Kadera and Mr. Patel doing a good job and in terms of implementing, and they pointed out all the important items which, I mean, the pointers which we are already facing. Every day we are facing this, in terms of the mindset changes which are required. Our programs also revolve around this, actually. See, I mean, the mindset change is a very important aspect. And I mean, we need to handhold many of the CS, including the employees. It's not the management, because we also say that put somebody accountable. As rightly pointed out, there are people who are helm of the affairs are not fully in control of the changing situation. I mean, somebody who can implement this. I mean, ideally it should be the person who owns, but if he's not able to find time, it doesn't get implemented the way it is supposed to. So I think these are some of the challenges, as rightly pointed out by both. I mean, I think going forward, we are looking to be very positive and expect a lot of changes.
Correct. So you're saying 30% is the actual number of people who use, but this number is growing now because of the lockdown and the consequential new normal working environment which is evolving now, right?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Now, so at this moment, let's bring in our special invitee, Mr. Jigar Shah. Jigar, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, Jigar. Can you just unmute your video? We can see you.
Just a minute. I'll have to.
Yeah, fine. Otherwise, if you're okay with audio also, it is fine with us.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
So while our both panelists are, mid-size or large firms having more than 150, 160 team members, it is good to hear experience of Jigar, a small firm, but a very tech-savvy, partner Jigar who's heading it. So Jigar, can you just tell us, how what you were doing before you automated, your operations, how you were working through Excel sheets or other, tools you were using, and once you shifted to a practice management software, what benefits did you, did you feel?
Yeah. So thank you, Tejaji, for inviting me over here and letting me share my experience. So as any other CF firm, being a CF firm, we used to manage things on our Excel sheets, and I remember that at the time of due dates, we used to take out printouts, and that was a scoreboard over there on our board, and that is how I used to manage. But I have always been, very tech savvy kind of a person, and always trying to use some or other tools. So I had actually basically used lot of tools like Trello, Slack, and Wunderlist, etc. for my personal, task management and all those stuff. So before we went into an actual practice management kind of a software, we were using Wunderlist, which is now Microsoft To Do, for some time. And basically what we had done was we had we added some tasks like invoicing, which was a recurring task, invoicing, GST return, and we tried to, because we were a small team, we tried to manage with that. But then we thought that, okay, this is not practical to a large extent. Then we decided, okay, we need to have something concrete. The purpose was that we were very clear in terms of what we want from the software. So it was not that we were exploring software and seeing what the software is offering and then implementing it, but we were very clear that what is the gap that we want to fill up? Is the gap that we want to track our expenses? So the answer was no. Is the gap that we want to do our billing from that software? So once again, the answer was no. The gap was that we want to have a proper accountability structure in terms of giving clarity to everyone who is doing what and by when they are supposed to do it, and what is the overall status of work. So once again, it was supposed to be at a very macro level, because what we realized is that initially what we realized when we had introduced some kind of activities or some kind of initiatives is that there was a lot of resistance. So we realized, okay, we need to take this very slowly. Even a basic thing like Wunderlist, it was very difficult to actually let it come, and insist people, okay, you need to update this, you need to mark this tick and all that. So I used to update something in Wunderlist, but no one saw it ever. So implementation has huge challenges. So yeah, so we took an approach of a very minimalistic approach in terms of, okay, let us start off one or two things which are the most critical things that we want, and accordingly then we will improve on it and add on, start using more features of the software. So I'm using something known as Proactly, and it's not a typical CA practice management kind of a software. It's more of a compliance management or task management software, wherein all your compliances can be there. You can assign it to your clients and you can assign it to the user. Simple as that. So we are not tracking how much time someone has spent, but we are tracking, okay, this is the work that you are supposed to do in next week. This is the work you are supposed to do in this month. And where is your work overall? That is what we are doing. Even at a basic level, wherein initially whenever you set up a software, the involvement is more from the leader side. So there was a lot of involvement from my side, as I had to ensure that all the, first of all keeping everything in place and ensuring that all the compliances etc. are assigned correctly. And at the user level, it was very simple. Just they need to update. So I really struggled for almost 2 or 3 months that, okay, to bring discipline that, you need to update. But eventually it got sorted out. It got sorted out, and primarily because then they started seeing the benefit out of it. So earlier they used to manage different sheets. There was one sheet for PT, there was one sheet for GST, then there was one sheet for TDS returns. And suddenly they saw कि अच्छा मेरे को जो काम करना है वो यहाँ पे एक ही पेज पे है. So then they started seeing the benefit of it, and that is what really, once they started seeing the benefit of it, the adoption level really increased. But yeah, initially it is just about adoption, and one more thing that I have realized, that we need to have a carrot and stick kind of a thing with employees. So just give you a small example. In work from home scenario, I had put up a simple request that everyone is supposed to fill up a certain Google form, and I struggled for 2 months, and it was very inconsistent. The day I said that आपका attendance Google form से होगा, and consistency came into place. So we need to have a carrot and stick kind of a thing to ensure things happen. I believe that it is easy to implement the software. There are great software. I mean, what the demo that we saw today, it has got a lot of functionalities. The biggest challenge lies in implementation and getting the team actually done. So if the software has all the functionality but the team is not updating the task, then you don't have any visibility. If the team is not updating the number of hours spent, then you don't have any visibility, right? If the team is not updating once their work is done, so then it does not get escalated for review, etc. So I guess implementation is the biggest challenge, and it really requires a cultural shift and takes a lot of effort from the leader of the firm. And you have to be ziddi in that terms ke nahi ye karna hi hai, and get it done. That has been my experience.
Great, Jigar. So I think Jigar has shown to most of the small firms that it's possible to, take a lead and then start with one step at a time. Even that may take some time, but then the real benefits start paying off, after a while.
Yeah.
So I think this is one discussion I want to carry forward now. I have seen, when most of the partners or owners talk to me about practice management software, they always ask one question: timesheet. Is timesheet there or not? They are more concerned about whether each employee has 8 hours work or not, and where he has spent those 8 hours. Maybe out of that, they'll be able to get the costing also. But to my view, costing is secondary objective. The first objective is everyone has got sufficient work for 8 hours or not. And I have also seen that this is one thing which employee resist a lot. So learning from the experience of Mitesh, what is your experience about timesheet in particular? If you can unmute yourself, Mitesh.
I said in the starting, hello. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Yes, you can. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
Initially only I said that when we implemented this practice management tool first time, there was a trust issue wherein everyone was kind of saying that you want me to, update the time, and that means you don't trust me. And that is was the body language of all the team members, which we faced as a challenge of change management. We continue to feel that the work has to be get done, and we are not very sticky about the time side of it. Having said that, it is also very critical from the team side that they don't hide away but tell us what they are doing when they are working for us on the full-time basis. So when it came to work from home, we are kind of talking about work from home since last 2.5 years with all the team members, and telling them that we are least concerned about the people coming to office, but we want people to perform and report on regular intervals. We actually used this as an opportunity, this lockdown as an opportunity, and started telling them that if we all tell honestly where spending time to the firm, then wants to continue work from home for eternity, and for almost everyone of all of us. So they like this idea, and they kind of push through this point. And as it was being discussed by the Simplify guys, we also want to follow this model where the attendance is removed and people are asked to fill up the time for say 150 hours, 160 hours per month, and that's it. And we consider them to be present, and we pay their salaries. So that is that is the direction that we are currently moving on.
Correct. Yeah, Hanil, your experience.
Yeah, so basically
about
timesheet.
timesheets in particular.
Yeah. So see, basically, we always had a system in place for giving a timesheet. Basically, you see, majority of our staff initially was an article trainees, and as per our institute guidelines, our basically we need to maintain the records of the practical training in different sectors, which they generally fill towards the end of their articleship. So we always had that kind of report whereby on a monthly basis, the article has to put in, the number of weeks spent on each of the different category of work which they carry out in a particular month. So for articles, there was always there. As far as professional CA employees are concerned, so basically they are employees and they do understand the need for such kind of timesheet management for better control and for better productivity. So there we had a limited, in that sense, challenges for implementing those hourly based timesheet, because we earlier had a weekly timesheet, a monthly timesheet, then weekly timesheet, and now it is yearly, hourly based time. The challenge what we faced is the timeliness. Many times the staff could not update those timesheet on at a timely basis. Like many times they don't update for a month altogether. So what we decided is, unless the timesheet is generated by a system, will not process their stipend or a salary. So it was a little harsh at that time, but then that made things moving very fast. So it was like for all the managerial level staff, which is qualified and below, they need to actually submit their timesheet. Without that, the processing of salary will be held up. Another aspect is for manager and above level staff. Basically, we had a weekly progress report, which was manual. It is not processed to a system because it was always required, because there are few staff, 15, 20, 25 staff, which deals with the manager level staff. So there we have a weekly report system where we are tracking their work, the progress of the work for the week, and also what additional work which they actually intend to handle in the coming week. So those time management is getting captured by way of the weekly report, and correspondingly will get reflected in the timesheet management software which we are using. So that is how we are synchronizing that. As far as timeliness is concerned, we also brought some kind of incentive scheme for our staff. Those who are completing their timesheet within a particular time frame, then we are incentivizing them by way of giving them some movie tickets or some gift vouchers. So we used to, encourage them by giving them some kind of small incentive or some kind of recognition in the team group. They're saying that this so and so person has done the work excellently, or fill in that, because see, simply putting a timesheet with a number of hours will not really work. So we also want a qualitative inputs from them. So those who are writing skills also gets improved. So those who are writing about their job description also, we've been awarded with some kind of incentive, small incentive, maybe, as I mentioned to you, maybe a gift voucher or a movie ticket. But yes, it has helped. So now slowly things are moving in that direction. But all the CA firms, the change in guard always happens. People comes and goes. The change of staff always happens. You have to keep on innovating new ideas of keeping them busy. Attracted to such kind of thing, and then things moving in that.
Great. So I think, Henil, what I noticed was, you talked about carrot and stick approach, and you were handing out movie tickets. I think change it to Netflix subscription now.
That's what I said.
There are no movies now.
Current one.
Also, interestingly, because a lot of people think that they will link the timesheet with the payroll and say, hey, if you're not updating, you're not getting your stipend, you're not getting your salary. So I was talking to another of my friend who is struggling to implement a practice management software. So before this call, I just talked to him, and he said, yeah, he actually, he implemented and he made it part of the payroll, that if you are logging in, then you get the payroll, otherwise you do not get. And then he said, two of my, old employees, they submitted resignation. So, so there are challenges.
Yeah. But one important point I want to highlight here is, in our hourly timesheet, we have a number of hours we spend on a particular month. That is fixed, like for example, 225 hours in a month. So there we also have given a sort of minimum training program to be attended by any employee. So what we see is that not only the number of hours which they have to spend on the work, but there is at least 10%. So example, 20 hours, maybe 15 hours in a month, they have to compulsory spend on a training, which may be online, offline. They have to give the declaration. that is also helped in, increasing. Maybe they may be not doing 100% or maybe doing something, but at least there is always salary processing is happening based on their commitment and their, the replies given in training program also which they have attended in a month. So that is also helping in our quality review. See, basically, as SQC1, we need to maintain our training records for our staff and other things. So there in time itself it has built it that so and so person has attended so and so seminar or a webinar or whatever. I mean the lecture or online program study course or something like that. Which is getting captured in the timesheet itself, which can be demonstrated at the time of peer review or maybe an SQC review where it gets triggered by the institute.
I think that's very good. That's very excellent use of timesheet. You're also looking at the training and skills enhancement, time spent on those activities also. Perfect. I think there is one question by Satish ji, which says that guide us which software is suitable for us. So this was part of my discussion, and I think no other than Mitesh Katira to talk about it, because he just mentioned that recently they shifted from one software to another, and they did this through a very scientific process. So I think Mitesh, if you can just share your experience, and it will also be for our audiences, that there's no one, no Dinesh Tejwani, no Mitesh, nobody can recommend you the best software. You have to judge it yourself. And what is the process for doing that is something which Mitesh is going to explain us.
Correct. So I think one has to follow a very scientific process for thinking on what software one wants to implement. And one has to, if it is a partnership firm, one has to evolve a thought process, an objective list of things that they want to achieve from the timesheet or the what we call the practice management system, and then prioritize that list into 1, 2, 3, 4 priority that one wants to set up as far as the system is concerned, and then one has to actually look at the softwares after that. So as I think Jigar was telling that they had a clear list of priorities that they wanted to achieve from the software, and that's why they could quickly choose the software that was most user friendly and convenient to them to set up the accountability of the team. They were very clear and they went and adopted that software. So similarly, the firms, I would request not to start seeing practice management softwares. That is the biggest mistake that we do generally, and we get into a trap of something which is very fancy, and we feel that, okay, this is what is good for us. Number one. Number two, I would request the firms not to ask someone else as to what software they should use, and they should actually do it for themselves, kind of an activity. It is very easy to ask Mitesh or Dinesh ji or Jigar or Anil to say that which software do you use, and you fall into that trap of using what they use or they like or they recommend, because they have their different set of requirements, different set of expectations, different modus operandi of their firm, and then they adopt to that software basis, that thought process, that modus operandi. There is nothing called as one size fits all, because say for example Henil has a firm which is more audit oriented, we are more consulting oriented, someone is more outsourcing oriented. So each of the firm has a different taste and tinge of what they would like to adopt. For example, a firm who is more consulting oriented would like to have due dates tracking as their very, very important activity, but that might not be so relevant for the audit firm. Or if an outsourcing firm, it is very relevant that they work with a lot of freelancers and would want to track time as the most priority for their activities, and would want to charge the clients on the basis of time, that because they are more like an outsourcing firm. So that is more critical for them to have time as their biggest element and factor, and they would like to adopt for a software which is more time oriented and more structured in that manner. So people may have different requirements. Accordingly, they should look at the software independently and not look at one size fits all kind of a thing. So one of the things that I would recommend in my structure or my list is a simple software which is not very complex in nature for the user to adopt to, and understand the software. Understanding the software should not be very difficult for them. That is number one. Number two is a very lucid and interesting UI. Maybe a mobile app is very critical nowadays, because people don't like to update things on the laptop sitting all the time. So I think I will put that as a second important thing that one should be keeping in mind while adopting to the software. Third thing is very important is integration of the processes that they are having manually. For example, people have a lot of spreadsheets, like Jigar was explaining, for various activities like profession tax or GST or TDS and so on, and they want to integrate that process into this system. Or the other processes like invoicing may be critical, that one needs to implement and integrate that process. Then the process which we had, which we felt is very important to be integrated, is contracting. So a lot of contracts are, or you can call it as engagement letters, are signed by us with the clients, and whether the services are according to the engagements that we have signed with the clients, or they are more or less. That was the concern. And fourth was, of course, the timely billing process, which we had manually, and we wanted to put it in the system so that the billing happens automated as and when the tasks keep on getting completed. So I think third aspect is the processes that you want to streamline with the help of the system or the software. So I think I would rate this into three parts. One is the simplicity of the software. Too many complications doesn't help solve the problems, although they have a lot of bells and whistles and you enjoy those complications when you look at the software, but you cannot adopt. So it is like that. The other is I think user friendliness, or mobile app, clean and neat mobile apps which can be helping your team to update things faster and quicker, and they feel happier to update the things. Third is processes that are there in your organization which you want to streamline with the help of this software putting in place. Yeah, I think these are the three things that I would keep in my mind while looking at any kind of an software. We looked at around 4 or 5 softwares. Cost was not the top priority, top criteria, as I said, because cost is not the worry. It is like this, that if you buy 1 lakh rupees worth of shares and they grow 20% and become 1,20,000, or you buy shares worth 2 lakhs and they become 5 lakhs in similar time frame. So which shares you will like to buy? You will like to buy costlier shares than cheaper shares, right? So similarly, it is an investment. So I think we should worry about the ROI instead of worrying about the cost as a factor. Otherwise, we will not be able to take a decision which is qualitative enough. So people generally ask the first question, "Kitne ka hai?" and that becomes the stopping factor. So looking at it as an expense will not serve the purpose. Look at it as an investment. Whether if you will spend say 10,000 rupees per month and it will solve your big issue of billing which was getting delayed, 1 lakh worth of billing missed out, and you will find the value in it. So I think cost should be kept as a last factor of worry in taking the decision with respect to the software. So yeah, so I think that is what I wanted to say about our process and our thought on taking the decision with respect to the software. Again, one size doesn't fit all, so one should take a call individually.
Amazing. I think I would 100% agree with Mitesh. A, do not ask for any recommendation. B, do your own judgment. And as Jigar also mentioned, list down what is important for you. A software offers 100 features, but what are those 10 which are most critical for you? And are those 10 easy to implement for you? Then go for that. Don't look at the remaining 90. If you're a small firm, if you're a firm with 10 people, timesheet is not important for you. Do not look at the timesheet. If you're not generating any leads, your practice is established, you have the same set of clients. Do not look at the CRM. Do not look at leads generation. So this is a simple thing, your requirement, and how the software fits your requirements, how easily that's the simple thing, So what I do is now I just take 2 last questions, and but before that, we just observed that 11% of the audience here is using, some practice management software. I would like
Dinesh's voice is.
I think we have lost.
Yeah, so there is some problem with Dinesh's internet, I think.
Okay.
Power off हो गया है, उनका message है. So just we will wait for him for some more time, and then we will go ahead. Just we will wait. In the meantime, we can take questions also.
Yes, definitely.
हाँ, क्या हुआ?
Yeah, hello.
है और हाँ. Okay, ठीक है. Okay, Anil, you can.
Yeah. Dinesh actually just called me, so I'll take it forward from here.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the next. Yeah. So the next question is, the practice management software can it be used along with the audit management software? Now, can a person, the firm which uses practice management software, the same software can be used for audit management. Now, that is basically one thing which we have to discuss. So, Mitesh, if you can give your views on that, and then I'll proceed with my views on that. Yeah.
I think the software is a platform which is made available to an organization to structure it as and when they want for whatever they want to do with that software. For example, nowadays the softwares come with something called as subtasks, or one can create a lot of templates and workflows inside a particular task. So
Mitesh, can I just interrupt you for a minute, Mitesh? Sorry.
Sure.
So before my power went off again, because it never happens, but then I think some work is going on in the building and the power is stripping off. So I'm sorry about that. So what I was saying was, after this last question, what we'll do is we want to hear from the participants who are using any practice management software. If any two can just put it in the chat that they are using and they would like to share their experience. Then after this question, we can, ask them to share their experience. So that was the only thing which we wanted to convey. Mitesh, please continue.
So I was telling that the software is like a platform which is available to you with various dimensions. One can use those dimensions to put in place the processes which one is wanting to put in place. For example, nowadays all softwares come with something called as task templates, wherein you can create a lot of subtasks from one task, and workflow of those tasks can be linked together to form a particular project kind of a thing. So in case of audits, one needs this workflow to be managed by the team along with the document upload facility at each level for uploading various documents from time to time. So what we are currently doing is using this practice management tool for managing our audits as well, wherein when the peer review happens, we have all the documents which are uploaded and the processes which are followed while doing an audit kept as a document in that particular task, all put together, along with the time and review happened by each of the partner or team member or senior team member during the audit. So whenever there is any review which is required to be done of a particular audit, the entire process, the checklist that we have followed, the internal reporting mechanism that is in place, the queries raised with the client and the replies that we received with respect to those queries, and the documents that we collected and reviewed, the sample testing that we did during the audit, the final review of the partner that happened, the approval from the board of director, the management representation letter, entire set of records is put on the task, and that can be monitored whenever required on the later stage. Number one. Number two, while doing the audit also, we don't end up missing any process to be followed while doing the audit. So I think, yes, we can do that. It is not worthwhile having one more tool for audit management as a separate tool, because it is very tedious to have disintegrated tools to be followed. As of now, there is one system which is available, which is CCH iFirm, which has come up with a entire audit module as well for the higher level audit firms like what Henil is leading. In those cases, one may need that process flow also to detail out his audit. But in smaller cases, I think task templates is a solution that one can follow in most of the tools that is available. So I think that we are as of now using that as an internal task management system. But people may use a specific tool which is integrated with his office management tool to manage the audits as a separate activity.
Yeah.
Henil,
Yeah. So basically, yes, you rightly said, Mitesh bhai. Of course, we are using the audit automation of CCH only. So I'm aware about. I mean, I wanted to share about what we are trying to understand or the experience of those use. See, honestly, audit management tool software is something really different than the normal practice management tools. Of course, we need to understand the client daily what we have. Basically, see, we generally, firm has three different clients. Basically, one is a large client or listed entities. Then the medium and clients where they are mainly a particular turnover and above clients, and a small clients. So if you are into a domain where you don't have many large clients, then probably what Mitesh bhai said is making a sense. I mean, I would prefer that not to go for any kind of a big software. Just do it with flow, what you have, your risk management have, and try to manage and try to follow the sequence, as per that software. But when you have a large client, the expectation increases, because see what happens is, in a normal package management tools, there are many things which is not getting captured. For the large client or listed client, when you have a reporting to any SQC or maybe reporting to NAFRA going forward, so those requirements are little encumbered in that sense. It requires different types of documentation challenges. It also needs a log to be maintained for various activities which one has to one has to do. In normal circumstances, when the things are not in that sense automated, we used to do a documentation which may be at times little, after the, I mean, not all, but some certain, certain things are getting completed subsequent to the audit date. Those things are, getting captured when it comes to something like automated tools. So what we feel that when you have a large clients and when you have to report to a very regulatory requirements, better to have a proper well-managed audit automation process should be in place. But it doesn't come overnight. In fact, we are using one audit management tool since last 2 years. Honestly, we have not been able to stabilize in that sense. I mean, almost is the second year, we are ending with the second year with this season. What we felt is that for still we are not using for medium clients and a small client. We are mainly utilizing this software for large clients, not for the other clients. In the large client also, what is happening is the sequencing is the biggest problem. Like all these management tools, sorry, the audit process tools has a particular way of doing audit. And honestly, many of us has experienced that it won't go in the same sequence as we think. Client will give you information the way in which he wants to give information, other than as per our requirement many times. So you may not be able to complete a particular step before going to the next step, and you may have to jump to the other step. Whereas the software sometimes doesn't give you the flexibility of changing those, audit process or audit steps. So which is a very challenging thing when it comes to actual implementation of those things. Second is the uploading of sensitive information. Now what happens, like all these audit automation tools are cloud-based, because naturally you need to work 24/7. So you can't have a server-based thing whereby you have to open your office 24/7 like an IT company. So many times, sensitive document getting scanned and uploaded on the web server of our basically service provider. So there, I don't know how much data security which as auditor or as a data owner which we have from the service provider. That is another challenge which we are using, which we are facing, because everything you can't encrypt all the document while uploading in the system. And if you're doing so, then the time increases, the size increases. So those challenges also which we have actually seeing in terms of uploading the sensitive information on the web server. But this automated server, software gives you templates, which at times is very tedious to fill in. I mean, you can't, if you start filling those templates, then your time estimation will go haywire. I mean, if you are estimating a time of 1 hour, and then if you start using those templates and doing things, then it will increase to 2.5 hours. So those time factor also plays a major critical role while coming to the conclusion of any audit, or deciding the cost factor or the fees for the particular audit. So there also we are facing challenges. But I mean, that doesn't mean that we should not use it. What we are trying to do is we are trying to, build, we are trying to use the software as well as we are trying to build our own model, customized for each client based on the risk area for the client. So what we are using is basically what we are doing is we are taking the guidance from the software. At the same time, we are also processing or preparing our own Excel template or a worksheet or a Power BI sheet, whereby we are assessing our own, credit, basically the so-called audit risk, and making them a score-driven work. So we have a combination of customized worksheet vis-a-vis the automation software. So if you see in that sense, the automation software is not fully automated or not fully integrated with our audit risk factor. So we are presently using the balancing act of preparing our own worksheets vis-a-vis for critical functions, and for normal audit process we are using the audit software processes where the checklist based work can be done. So that is how I think in nutshell we are doing audit from automation. But as I mentioned to you, this is more relevant for the large audits where you have a regulatory reporting like NFRA reporting, and going forward, kind of you need to, when it comes to some inquiry or it comes to some kind of scrutiny, you will be able to justify the process done by you and the timeliness of the process done by you. So those things are getting automated. Important one point is, is not presently available in the audit automation software is external review. Now, as a part of audit for the large entity, we need to do external quality review, which can be done just before the signing of accounts or just before the board meeting date. So the time gap which is available for concluding that work is also very insufficient. And if we start doing it automated system, that is virtually not possible, because system has its own difficulties of capturing data and transmitting data, and at the same time the counterparty has to authenticate or review those data. So those information presently is not possible to do it in a small with a particular reasonable time frame for the excellent quality review process. So those things again then in that's the offline. So we have a mix of around 60% done automated, 40% still done offline based system. Yeah.
I think a very valid point made, Anil, that at least for small and medium-sized audits, it is good to stick to the practice management software and not to look at an audit automation software, which could be very overwhelming in terms of processes and in terms of implementation. So amazing advice, Anil. Thanks. Now, before I invite Vivek is already with us, who wants to share his experience. I saw Mr. Fernandez saying that why there is only one software vendor present today. And I wanted to cover it in the beginning. I just missed it. So the question was, whom do we invite? There are, tens of software available today. So what I did was I went to the ICA website, and there's a page of the capacity, the Committee for Capacity Building. And they have various softwares mentioned, which are available to the members at heavy discounted rates. And I found two software for practice management in that list. One was Simplify Practice, the team who is present here today. The other is Cordial. So I did reach out to them also. I sent them a mail. I even called them on their help desk number. I got the email ID of the founder. I wrote to him also, but there was no response for them. So I think I've been very transparent in giving opportunity to both the vendors who have a special arrangement with ICAI. So I mean that's the answer to Mr. Fernandez. And now, yeah, let's hear from Vivek. What is your experience?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I think it is a very useful session for all the members who want to implement a practice management software. And all of the panelists have shared very specific details also. So, sir, am I allowed to share the exact experience which I had with the Cordial persons, or should
I think
be
without naming the software, if you can just mention what are the challenges that you face in implementing a software. We are here for sharing experiences. We're not here to talk about any company or a product.
Yeah, sure. So what I did, I shared the experience how I selected. So I just went to Google and I just searched practice management software. And at first I did not understand that the CA Institute had an arrangement with the two providers that was there. So I got the demo of a few of the software, and then it was later on that I understood about Cordial and Simplify having the arrangement with ICAI. So anyway, so I just like all the panelists also said that it is need based. So you need to know what exactly are the features that your firm requires. So that is where I wrote it down in Excel, and I put all the service providers in the tab, and then I just put a tick mark. Is this service provider providing this this particular feature or not? So and in a general experience, I found that everyone is giving you the timesheet, everyone is giving you recurring tasks and assignments, and everyone is giving you the recurring billings also. So this was the basic thing that I found. But then what I feel is that all of the providers have their set of features that they have. That is what I feel personally. So coming to customizations, so you might have options to customize the report, but what I found is that in some capacity or the other, you also have to adjust to the software features. That is what I feel, because you cannot get 100% customization from there. So at some places even I have adjusted to the features that were available. So that is one part. And then I think if I can just summarize, I would like to encourage small practitioners also like me. I mean, we have roughly 7 or 8 employees. So what I would suggest is that practice management softwares are definitely helpful to us to like Anil sir was just saying that to get all of these things in one place. And like Jigar also shared his experience that instead of having so many different Excels and then coordinating with your stuff and saving the passwords is one thing. So GST passwords, they keep expiring every month or so. So I mean, smaller things are going to be taken care of by the software, but then you have to set your own rules and see how you can get those features for your own firm. And then in the whole macro environment, just see how you can improve your own productivity. And your customers also have to feel that this firm is quite organized, and they are very careful with the due dates, with the reminders and everything.
So Vivek, what would you say? I mean, are you 100% in a stage where you can say it is implemented now, or are you at that 30% level which Rajesh mentioned?
Yeah, so exactly, sir. I have implemented it quite a bit. So I wouldn't say it's 100%, because I've also experienced some rigidity from some of my staff also. So like we also pointed out, the timesheet was something which still even after so when the person logs in every day to the account, they still get a reminder on the screen that you have not submitted your yesterday's timesheet. So that is, even that part is automated. They are getting the reminders. Still, they try to bypass it, or they don't approve it on time, and the person who is at the senior level, that person has more rights with the software. So even that person, I have to separately again remind him that you are not doing your timesheet, and you are not approving your junior's timesheet also. So
Perfect.
still those things are there, then closing the tasks or the assignments that are there, they complete the work, then still, so I don't know if it's anyone is doing it intentionally, but then this is where I feel these are the challenges. So even after implementing, these are the challenges that you actually get your staff to use all the features on a regular basis, because if you don't use the features, then there's no use of the software. Everything has to be updated in the software every day, and everyone has to use it. Otherwise, one loose thread and the entire purpose is gone. So that is what I feel.
Perfect.
I have
Thank
one
you so much.
point to make here. Just an addressing of what Vivek mentioned. Only one point. Yeah. I think when he mentioned about this, the 100% implementation challenge, the key aspect of the management comes is the performance management part, and linking the KPIs and appraisals to this. Probably while hiring itself, and while recruiting, or while doing the training programs, while devising the annual plans, the performance management can be linked to this. This can help. I mean, I've seen a lot of firms doing this, and carrot and stick definitely, but key is employee knowing the importance of it right from the start, at the beginning of the year, how he will be measured. I mean, end of the day, the reviews are easily possible with these tools, and I think HR should be aligned with this tool rather than using this as a support function. It should be an enabler to the business. I mean, it is a way of working which is going to change with this tool. I mean, the same task, but making sure that your job is simplified as a owner of the company. The reporting has to come to you. I mean, rather than you running after people, it should give peace of mind. I call it 3 P's: peace of mind, performance planning, and actually it should help in proposed planned business development. Business development and growth of the business.
Sir, I have one point to add. So like you're saying,
I think it is running short of time now, Vivek. I think it's already 4 minutes past 1. So thank you so much. Your experience was really very useful for the audience here.
Yes, thank you.
And it will really encourage them to look for a solution and try to implement it now. So thank you, Vivek. Thank you, Rajesh. Now before I wind up, I just last word from each of the panelists now, and starting with Rajesh. Rajesh, there are a lot of questions about the software. I do not want you to answer them, but if you can just tell that, if people are interested, how they can reach you. Just final words,
Sure. Yeah. So one, Adrup will share the last slide of, we can make a note of that. I think, Amit, just share the last slide.
Or you can put in the chat, you can put it in the chat, and then everybody can see.
Yeah, put it in chat. Anurup, put it on chat. The one important part is we have a team.
Yes.
We have 2 parts. One is a BD team and a support team. And anybody can access through the website. The website will be shared with you, and you can reach us through website, and you can email us to us as well. Okay, you can call our numbers, and specific numbers available who are accessible. Okay, where you can reach to us, and we are there to support. And a full-fledged help desk is available, to support you. I mean, that's where anything during pre-sales and post-sales, this help desk supports.
Perfect. Thank you. Jigar, are you there? Your last, words. What do you want to, share with your audience here? Yeah.
I am here. I just wanted to share 2 more things. First thing is that what we generally do is, and what a small practitioner can do is, whenever you are selecting a software, and once you have selected, you can do a pilot. So what we did is, we once we decided the software, we for initial 1 or 2 months, we did it with 2 or 3 people and not implementing to the whole team at one time. So you can do a pilot. It gives a lot of clarity, because as soon as you give it to the whole team, then everyone's time gets involved into that. But if you're doing a pilot, you get a lot of clarity in how things work. Secondly, I will really encourage all firms, especially small firms, to adopt to this software, irrespective of the software that you use. Because as everyone shared, the biggest challenge is adopting to it at a cultural level. But as you are small, okay, and when someone new comes in and the software is already in place, the challenge is not there because they are in that, they get inducted in that atmosphere. But when someone is not in that atmosphere and when they have to adopt, then there is a challenge. So if when you have a small team and you are able to adopt it, the new members that come in, you'll not have adoption challenge over there, because from day one they know that okay, this is how work is done over here. I will really encourage, irrespective of the software that you use, we really need to set up good processes and really make use of these amazing tools which are available out there.
Great. I think Jigar made two very important points. One is do a pilot, don't involve everyone. Just 2-3 people can do a pilot to see, whether it's fitting into your requirement or not. And second is the foundation you're laying, when your firm grows or when new people join. So very two important things. Now, Henil, last words from you.
Yeah. So basically, see, I would say that mindset needs to be, amended for all of us. Basically, going forward, whether it is small firm, big firm, doesn't matter. Technology is actually changing, and we need to, get ourselves acquainted with the new changing technology. Going forward, there will be a blockchain technology will come. There will be a artificial intelligence in audit will come. So the moment our mindset is with blocked mind sense, you will not be able to adapt to those new changes. So what I understand or what I feel is, yes, we may look into the cost consideration, but at the same time, we should be, adaptive enough to change with the times. And practice management may not be the only thing which one should look at it, but then going forward, yes, we may have some kind of automation or some kind of technology-based interaction within the firm or for the firm, which will help our entire firm to grow into a particular direction and adapt to the new technologies. This is what I would like to say by concluding my talk.
Perfect. So change our mindset to look at technology as an enabler rather than a challenge. How we move from manual accounting to electronic accounting, and from manual filing to e-filing, e-payments, e-assessments now. So it's time, for us also to adopt, automation in our practice and operations also. Yeah, thanks. Mitesh?
There is a, what you call a Subhashitam in Sanskrit, which says that Shanai Pantha, Shanai Kantha, Shanai Parvatamastake, Shanai Vidya, Shanai Vittam, Panchaitani, Shanai Shanai. So everything doesn't come very fast. Today you hear the practice management tool session, you meet Mr. Rajesh, you buy the software and you are on. That is not, it happens. It takes a lot of time. It is all Shanai, it happens slowly. The adoption is a slow process. Don't rush. Don't think that if it is not adopted tomorrow, it will never get adopted. I have tried and failed several times in past, but I have not lost interest and inclination to do it again and again and to the most accurate sense as it should be adopted. So it's a process. So I think one should continue to do this process slow and steady and be a change maker. It's it's painful, but it is very interesting at the end.
So I think out of the introduction of Mitesh, one thing I want to inform everyone is Mitesh is a Sanskrit scholar, and he's taking free Sanskrit classes online, right?
Wow.
Now you're taking it online. And what he mentioned in Sanskrit is something I recall. There's a Rahim ka doha, it says, Dhire dhire re mana, dhire sab kuch hoye, mali siiche 100 gada, ritu aaye phal hoye. So I think there's a final advice. You have to wait, before any, new practice management software that you adopt starts giving you results. I think thank you so much all the participants. It has been a wonderful discussion and I really enjoyed it. Over to you, Seema ji.
Thank you, Dinesh ji.
Thank you.
Thank you all the panelists. Yes, there are lots of challenges for implementing the software, but keeping the future growth of the company, one can analyze and go for that. I now request our Deputy Convener C. Krishna Kumar ji to present vote of thanks to all the speakers.
Thank you, Seema ji, for giving me this opportunity. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So today's panel discussion on practice management software and the panelists were Mitesh Kariaji, Henil Patel.
Katiraji, sorry. Mitesh Katiraji.
Sorry, Mitesh Katiraji. Anil
Yes.
Patel and Rajesh Radhakrishnan ji, and moderator our own Dinesh Tejwani ji. So the session was very useful for small and medium practitioner, and the participants could able to understand a lot of things, how to select the software and how they can take it ahead. As from the practice, only 20 to 30% are using it effectively. So only the purchase is not sufficient. Once we are purchasing it, so we should use it very, very carefully and dedicatedly, and we should try to get it more and more from these softwares. On behalf of JB Nagar CP Study Circle, I propose a hearty vote of thanks to today's panelists, and including our own Dinesh Tejwani ji for moderating such a wonderful session. Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.